was 2005. I had just turned 50, and I was having my biggest year ever. Things were going great. And I was pretty certain that I could figure out a way to be miserable about all that. So I thought maybe I should look for some help. And I had originally bought the materials in 2002, and I had read them, and I thought they were very interesting, but I didn't have time for that, and I set them aside. And so, you know, now that I've turned 50, coincidentally, I got a mailer, and I looked at it, and I acted on it. And Paulette Mulligan called me back and said, "What are you trying to do here? What are you looking for?" And I kind of explained my dilemma, which wasn't really a dilemma, of course. And she said, "Well, why don't you come in July?" And I said, "You don't understand. I can't do that. I'm far too important. I've got too many things scheduled." She said, "Well, why don't you just see what happens? Make space for it." And so, you know, I didn't know what that meant. I ignored her. And she said, "Will you come to an introduction?" And I went to the introduction. And it was kind of weird. And I really didn't expect to get much out of it. But as I was going home, I felt something. Again, I still had no intention of going. She said, "Well, why don't you just see what happens?" And I'll be damned if my whole week didn't cancel, and I ended up going to that course at the end of June. So I came back and was all enthused, and started talking about it.
Curiosity for me. Mike and I have known each other for 30 years, and he was talking about it, and I went, "Yeah, I'll take a shot at that. Let me see what's going on here." And it seemed to turn him on, so I'm interested. So that's why I came.
Truthfully, I resisted it, and I walked out of the first one. Yeah, I think Beth is her name. She's a very nice person, and she wanted me to feel some statute, and I just said, "You got to be kidding me. You got to be making this up as you're going along." And I walked out, and I said, "That's that." And the partners wanted me to try again, and so I think it was 2007. Next go.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank. That I did go. I think late March, April, and I did finish it, the Avatar course at that time. So a study in ultimate resistance, as I've come to understand it. So I can't tell you that I had a smooth path. But that's all right, I think. That's okay.
I like new things, and I'm committed to growth. And Michael was trying it. Andy, one of our other partners, decided to go to Santa Fe. I wanted to go with him. And the experience was magnificent, and bonding with one of your business partners and friends and getting much closer. And it was very attractive to continue on because of that. It helped create alignment. This week's been amazing. Communication and a sense of having a mechanism to get to some root issues both in an organization and in yourself. It's been great.
We went through secrets, each one of us as a firm, as a
Together.
group, together.
Yeah.
You know, as it related to the firm, a secret. That was eye-opening.
That was pretty interesting.
Cleared up a
Yeah.
lot for a lot of people. You know, things that well, that's why they're secrets. Nobody brought them out before that. And cleared a lot of space for yourself more than anything.
Well,
and they all boil down to the same. That was what's interesting, the basic reason for it. Yeah.
we learned we didn't trust each other, for starters.
We're a young organization as far as all being together, the 7 partners. We've only been together for 5 years, all of us. And so as a new team, you know, you're finding your way. And to have tools to get you to reel together quickly in a pretty short period of time creates a great deal of trust and allows you to go forward in a way you couldn't go before.
We've tried other stuff, and we've come further faster as a group than with anything else. the level of honesty and openness was profound. I mean, I've, never seen it before. And the, competition that underlies everything kind of just dropped away, and people got real, and they talked about what was important to them. And that's worth hearing. That was worth hearing. So, and I think we found out we had more innate alignment than we knew. But now it's express. So, it's pretty neat.
Takes away the fear of, bringing something up. That dead silence that sometimes you get in a group meeting because nobody wants to speak. Yeah, that's not a problem anymore.
It's also given us tools to deal with clients and problems that you encounter in the practice of law or in life, both. It's powerful. It allows you to be centered. You can be more neutral and not so judgmental, so you can observe more clearly and see what's really going on and come up with solutions more readily that aren't reactive solutions. They're a higher sense of self solution.
Taking responsibility for what you experience is kind of a fundamental thing for me to learn. And once you do that, the blame game winds down and you have some choices. And, that applies to every single interaction that I have every single day, whether it be with my family, with my clients, with my partners, my staff. So when I have that desire to choke the shit out of somebody, I can realize that perhaps it's an identity I'm projecting on somebody. And maybe I need to look at what I'm doing, not what they're doing.
And a different point of view. You learn somebody else, and others do have a point of view other than the one you just want. And, your clients have one, your opponent has one, the judge has another, and you gotta, gives you an ability to recognize that and somewhat adjust yours to meet the needs of your client, yourself, the judge, because eventually he's the bottom line in the equation there a lot, so that's helped. In determining, we've used it a couple times, deciding beforehand what we were going to create in a meeting, as a group. This is what we wish to accomplish. This is, are we all good with that primary? Here's what we want out of this. And then afterwards going, wow, that happened.
Well, and the thing that's been amazing when we've used it at work is we all had the assumption that the meeting was going to go poorly some way. Oh, yeah. And we were all aligned on that, unknowingly, bringing our own stuff into it. And once we were able to make a primary, other than that, it's kind of effortless. Kind of amazing. Yeah.
You used to dread them.
Right.
They'd be on the schedule and you'd go, and there'd be very uncomfortable silence on certain topics and things. And they were arduous. You were exhausted afterwards. And I think I'd probably speak for anybody afterwards that you were just
talking about partners meetings.
Partners meetings, you'd be physically and mentally exhausted afterwards. And that has changed.
Now, if we have a tough subject, we may start a meeting with feel-its or a walk of atonement if it's a really tough subject, and or a source list. And that allows people to get into a space where they're present and more able to be real, and you make a primary to have a good meeting, and you do.
It's so much easier to deal with people that are actually there. I mean, fully there, fully present, as opposed to having their meat bag there.
You worked that in.
Yeah. We were all taken with the meat bag of space, the meat bag concept, and concluded that we were just meat bags of space eventually. So.
Certainly, in terms of the advocacy that's necessary in what we do, it's not going to reconcile so that we compromise that. That certainly wouldn't be an appropriate way of handling things. But amongst ourselves as this group that puts this together as a firm, that has to dissipate. And there has to be a reconciling there, or it has to square up there. Otherwise, this organization flies apart.
The way I reconcile that is the highest good we as advocates can do is to resolve conflict. And that's what I look at our profession at its higher self doing well. That is to resolve conflicts as cost effectively and as fairly as possible. And if that is your approach and you're primary on that, you can make that happen.
Well, and what I've learned is if you don't prejudge your adversary and put the no holds barred, fight to the death identity on them, it's not there. And you can cooperate with them. The space will open where you can actually have a decent conversation with them if you have a little compassion for them, or understand that they're just representing their client too. You have a lot in common. I call it litigating with love, which is kind of, ridiculous, but it works. It works. I can't tell you, for, I would say, 20 of my 27 years, I was probably the most hostile, contentious, competitive advocate that existed. That's how I did it. I just literally would beat the heck out of them. That's my particular approach. And, winning was everything. And it was pretty good at it. I was pretty good at it. But it just kills you. You feel like you're dying. Every time you do that, you just feel like you're losing a little bit of yourself. So I don't feel like that anymore.
I don't consider them different. Most of the defense attorneys that you work against aren't, they're looking for what you're looking for. They're looking for a resolution without, too much of their hide being taken. As, plaintiffs, I think most would be surprised. You get along more with the defense attorney than they think. I mean, they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to lose everything either, They're looking to get out of it without the risk that, their reputation, whatever their client's going to be taken. So I've never considered it different, It's projected on our profession that it's all adversarial, but most are looking for an outcome that is good for all. And so I don't see that inconsistent. Don't get me wrong, there are some that are, at all cost. It's, and you recognize that and understand what that is, and you treat it accordingly.
But TJ's always been a little more evolved than the rest of us. I mean, seriously.
Yes.
I was one of those that wanted to completely destroy their self-worth and win at all costs. And at all costs justified everything. So.
When you have power, you have to be really careful. And you don't take it lightly.
Yeah, I like the power talk. It's one of my favorites. He explains it exactly the way I understand it. And to second what Joel said, you have to recognize the responsibility that you have if you're going to exercise it.
What can you add to that?
I've never looked at it as that we had power, so in that fashion, I always looked at from what I needed to achieve, and that it wasn't, power wasn't part of it for me, so.
Then again, TJ's a little more evolved than the rest of us.
Yeah, we can't. He's existed
On
from the observational.
yet another plane.
He's
Absolutely.
existed in the observational mode his entire life.
Yeah.
He's just amazing. My wife joined me at Wizards last year. She would be here this year, but we couldn't find anybody to take care of the kids. She said, I think she was going to be intimidated by this whole thing, frankly. She mentioned that was kind of thought too, that maybe I needed to come with the guys. I can tell you, at our house, things are very peaceful, much more so than they ever had been in the past. The kids can tell the difference, and they tell us to, go do your Avatar stuff. Is this your is this your Avatar stuff? Well, because it's a big television cartoon, and so they think of Avatar. Dad's an Avatar.
Mine's been supportive. If anything, she would say, use the tools more. Don't resist going for it. Look at your fears. Look at the deepest parts that you don't want to look at, and keep growing and evolving. And my wife's always been committed to that.
We seem to be attracting a lot of opportunity in our particular area that springs from incomprehensible places. I mean, there's no logical connection between the opportunity we're getting and anything that we already had going. It's kind of inexplicable. It seems more and more we're able to create right into reality. It's weird.
Space to focus attention on things that we've decided that we wanted to do. That's a big one, I think.
Well, and the thing that everybody said after about a week of Wizards was that ball of anxiety that we all have, that we didn't know we all had until we got here, is gone. Just gone, whatever that is.
Communication's going to be much easier, too. It was improving as people took courses. It was improving. But after this week, my sense is we've taken a giant leap in that regard.
What do you think?
Yeah, what do I think? Well, I think that as you began your remarks about what did you do earlier in the week in terms of getting rid of those secrets or those hidden
agendas.
things, that people were doing, that was a big mark. That was a big mark. Each of us has been in other law firms before where you used secrets and you used manipulation to get what you needed within the structure of a firm, and it was a coveted tool. Here,
And a toxic mess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you embraced it and coveted it, and you got very good at it, and I was a PhD in that regard, quite frankly. I came from a large firm as opposed to several of the guys that we are currently with over the last 5 years. In a firm such as this, with that method of thinking, that is, Mike was just using a word, I'll use it again, that's pretty toxic. So I sense that's in the past.
It doesn't work either.
It doesn't work.
Just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Everybody's tend to gravitated to more what they are naturally able to do,
Right.
or
Yeah.
are good at, or
Thank you.
want to do.
You bet.
No doubt about it.
People are more comfortable being themselves and expressing that, putting that out there.
That's the best part.
And not worrying that what they aren't doing is seen as weakness, or,
Right.
or giving up, or whatever.
Sloth, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
So we can fit it together as a real team, using everybody's best talents. It's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
You want an example? Yes. Yeah, all right. TJ, Mike, Joel share running the firm in a lot of ways. If you're ever in a law firm and I'm with you, keep me from the money and all administration. Absolutely. You'd be a fool to let me anywhere near the money. But I like the courthouse. I was there this morning, as it turns out. And I am pleased to know that, without reservation, that's valued by our partners who are present, our partners who are not, but are with us here as we sit and talk with you. And it's not a thing that I have to apologize for. It's a thing that's embraced. And in terms of that particular aspect of our practice, I'm probably in a more comfortable place than I've been in 27 years.
He gets to want what he does without worrying about whether he's doing enough.
That's the best thing, because I certainly have, in terms of what takes this place to run, some massive shortcomings. And you know what? We don't focus on those, we focus on the ones I can do. And as you would go around, the 4 people here, each would say something different, and I wish the other 3 were here, so they could also weigh in on that as well. And you'd find, after listening to all 7 and being thoughtful about it, that's a pretty cohesive unit.
Well, most law firms, they start out and they're very siloed on the individuals, and the individuals try to attract their minions to help them, but you do not want to share with any of the other people because you're in competition with them in your organization. You're competing for the limited number of nickels on the table. And so you actively stay away. Of course, you can't be a very effective operation if you're acting like that. At best, you're just a gaggle.
Sort of like, you remember the old Pink Floyd song, Money, keep your hands off my stack, Jack. It's kind of how it works.
Well, and then the other Pink Floyd song, Comfortably Numb.
Yeah.
You get comfortably numb
Yeah.
in that environment, and you don't even know
Maybe
you're
Mr.
dying.
Palmer ought to talk to those guys. Yeah, maybe they could collaborate on something.
Right.
I have a feeling we're going to be hearing Pink Floyd.
Yeah, from now on, yeah. Big is a flavor. Right before the concert.
So we've broken down the silos, and in order to break down the silos, you have to be comfortable doing what you do and not trying to do everything, because in the silo, everybody does everything. And of course, those organizations they don't work. They're not real.
And when you do that, break it down, you increase the capacity overall,
Right. Geometrically.
you know. You're
And
able to do
everybody
more,
does better.
And it really
Everybody
reduces
does.
the stress.
and everybody does better.
That's certainly my case, exponentially. That's certainly for me, my case. Because I was a master silo builder for many, many years.
It's a lot more fun, too.
Yeah.
Well, initially, we want to make the opportunity to our associates and staff, if they want to come, we'll pay for the cost of the course.
And we made a policy this morning.
So that right there is a big change to create an enlightened law firm.
Right.
And
For
we'll-
starters.
And we'll start there. And it'd be great to change the profession. Why not think a little bigger? It's been an amazing 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's, course overall is just amazing. Time and effort and thought, and geez. To put this together, whew. Every time you read it and do it and feel it and part of it, you go, wow.
Yeah. It's meaty.
Oh, man.
And to do it as a team, that's a beautiful thing.